More info, positivecoach.org. I'm Nick Bovey. When you're looking for news for Black America, go to News One.
Okay, here we go.
.com.
Praise the Lord, everybody. We are back. This is the Hour Show, the third Wednesday of the month. WL 1450 AM, 95.9 FM, also WL. And this show, Anthony Miles, your Christian reverse mortgage answer man, learning the hidden truths, the do's and the don'ts about the federally insured reverse mortgage. Who will tell you the truth? You need to know the truth because, yes, absolutely, the truth will set you free from that bondage that the bank has over you and that stranglehold that anxiety and worry and stress has over you. The reverse can be the answer. I said can, not must, not definitely is. Can be the answer, but it can also be a nightmare. Yes, I'm a licensed loan officer who does reverse mortgages, and I'm going to be the first to tell you, don't do it if you don't need it, or you've got to watch out for this, because doing a reverse mortgage means this. Me as a loan officer, putting aside all of my wants and needs, all of my desire for money and materialistic objects, and putting my faith in Christ and saying, Lord, you're going to provide this. So what I'm going to do is come out to this person's home and be open and honest and find out what they need. Find out what their needs are. That means sitting down at your table and looking into your life. What are your goals? Not also while you're here on this earth, but when the Lord takes you home, what are the goals for that house afterwards? And then catering what the reverse could possibly do for you to accomplish those goals. Your goals, not my goals, not the bank's goals. And that's the difference. That's why these seminars that I do at the wellness centers, at the churches are a must because they're unsolicited. I do not take a name. I do not take a phone number. I don't want to. If you want to contact me and go through me, then that's a blessing. But if you don't, I'm okay with that. Why? Because the Lord's going to take care of me. I'm not worried about that, okay? So you need to know this information, and we need to get it out there. So if you've heard this show, I need to get in front of your pastor or bishop. Make that possible so I can present the unsolicited show that they can see on my Facebook page, my seminars that I do. On YouTube, they can see my seminars. They can see also other videos that I upload. It's very important. 1-800-952-PRAY. 1-800-952-7729. We were just talking about, before we concluded on the second segment, about making payments on your reverse. I encourage it. A lot of people don't know they could make a payment. The bank doesn't like you making a payment because you're taking away guaranteed money they were going to get, because you've got full control, and you know you do when you're making a payment. It's the only kind of mortgage that you have control over your finances is a reverse. So it's the opposite of everything you've heard. It's the blessing in the sense to where you are released from the bondage and the forcibility from the bank to meet their terms. Everything is on your terms. The amount of money you want to make a payment on, if any at all. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. But you need to know that you can. And you need to know that whatever payments you make not only lowers the balance that you have on that existing mortgage, but it also is credited. The bank doesn't like when you make a payment because you're taking away guaranteed compounded interest over a lifetime from them. They don't like that. So they're going to entice you by gifting you whatever payments you make, them matching it. So if you make a $500 payment, it will be applied towards your mortgage. But that same $500 payment will also be matched by the bank and placed into the reverse mortgage line of credit savings account. And that account is growing at almost 5% growth. I'm at 0.3 or 0.29 right now with Bank of America. So 5% growth is like, I don't know, it's almost like 15 times. 15 times what Bank of America has given me, the bank is going to give you on whatever payments you make. So if you make a payment of $500, that's going to lower down your balance by $500. But it's also going to put $500 in this savings account for you that is going to collect interest at almost 5% guaranteed growth. That's phenomenal. So think about it from this aspect. I don't want to say you're a sucker if you're still in a regular mortgage and you're at least 62, but I guess a nicer word would say you're crazy, because you could set yourself up not only for doing the exact same thing you're doing right now by paying down your mortgage, but have matching payments gifted to you in this line of credit account collecting 5% interest. Think of it really quickly. $1,000 payment every month. Let's say that was your mortgage, but you do it now through the reverse. So at the end of the year, that's $12,000 of payments that apply towards the mortgage. But the bank's also going to take that same $12,000 and give it to you in that line of credit that's going to collect interest at 5% growth. So $12,000 is going to be $13,000 more than that in just 1 year because of that growth. So next year you need to take off and not make payments, or something happened and you got an emergency and you need money. Where do you get it from? You got $13,000 tax-free money sitting there. And you got to call me for further explanation, because it means me sitting down without any obligation, but on paper showing you all this. This is the beauty you also need to understand. In a reverse, when you make a payment and you pay towards that interest that's going on there, like a regular mortgage, in a regular mortgage, do you get to deduct the interest that you pay? Absolutely. In a reverse mortgage, do you get to deduct the interest that you pay? Absolutely, if you make a payment. If you don't make a payment, you don't get to deduct anything until the loan becomes due. If you refinance your reverse mortgage and get into a new reverse, but at least lower your interest rate or get more equity, what that means is you satisfied the responsibility of the old reverse and all the interest that accrued on there, which means that bank has got to send you a tax form that states the amount of interest that has now been paid off, which is 100% tax deductible now that it has been paid. So if you've got a reverse and you've refinanced, there's money that you could deduct from your taxes because you've paid all that interest now when you refinance to go to the new reverse. And you need to call your accountant. You need to get that deduction because it could be very large. Very large. We're talking some people, the interest grew over $40,000, $50,000. Those are huge deductions. Maybe it gets spread out over time, but they're still deductions. But in a reverse, if you're making a payment every month, you better put that on your taxes at the end of the year, because any money that went towards the interest for that year is 100% tax deductible, and you need to take advantage of it. So by doing a reverse, people used to go, well, if I do a reverse, I'll lose that tax deduction. No, you don't. Not only do you not lose that tax deduction, you pay down your mortgage based on your terms and your control, and you also now have this line of credit that the bank has matched every payment and put in this savings account growing at almost 5% growth. You cannot make a more successful retirement possible than what I just explained. Think about it. You're 70 years old, husband and wife married. You're paying your mortgage, you got a regular mortgage, your husband passes away, you lose his benefits. Now you don't have the income to even pay the mortgage. What are you going to do? You know what you're going to do? That stranglehold of stress and anxiety is going to cripple you. And you're going to be not too soon later, God forbid, following that deceased loved one, because you can't handle it. Same situation though. 70 years old, they did a reverse mortgage, but they're still making payments. That husband or wife passes away, they lose those benefits of the pension or the Social Security, but they've been paying down their mortgage. Now all of a sudden they can stop, or they can reduce the amount or completely stop without any penalty. Not only did they pay down their mortgage, a large amount, just like they would have in the regular, they also were able to deduct every single year those interest payments they made, and they've got sitting over in this line of credit $40,000, $50,000 of tax-free money to relax and enjoy. This now gives you the freedom to grieve over that loss of that loved one instead of scrambling to keep the home. No time for grieving. You're struggling just to keep the home. That person's in the ground, dirt just went on top, and you are going to lose the home because you can't make the payment. Horrific. Take control back over your life, but learn the truth on how to do it. Don't just believe me. Call FHA. Find out what I'm saying is absolutely 100% correct. With me, there's no obligation, but from me, you're going to get that truth that you need to know, and it needs to be spread out there because too many people are not told this because the bank doesn't want you to know it because they want guaranteed money. If you've got a $200,000 mortgage and you're 70 years old and you got a regular mortgage and it took you till 90 to pay it off, you could have done the same thing in a reverse and it would have only taken you to probably like 87 years old to pay it off, okay? But if any crisis came up in that meantime, you could have stopped. You could have cut back. You could have done whatever because you had full control and you got this huge line of credit and you got all those tax deductions. It's like a win-win because you're in control. Full control. 1-800-952-PRAY. 1-800-952-7729. If you've got a reverse mortgage right now, you must refinance it, and you really got to move before these October rule changes come. You know, with me in the District of Columbia in D.C., if you refinance your reverse mortgage, this is some of the stuff banks don't want you to know. That closing costs, by the way, in a reverse mortgage, they're optional. Yes, closing costs are optional. What do you mean they're optional? They got to be paid by me. They're always paid by me in a mortgage. No. You have the option of the loan officer paying some of those closing costs, or all of them, because I'm here telling you the truth, saying I'm getting paid some good money. Used to get paid a lot more money before the guy got in the White House. So before that, we were doing really good. We took a cut, but we still didn't take that big of a cut to where I can still not help out, because I can. I can 100% legally, every loan officer can 100% legally ease the burden of closing costs by making some of them optional, by us undertaking the payment of some of those costs or all of them. If you're in DC, you've already got a reverse mortgage, you would have zero closing costs. But in October, you won't, because one of the rules they're changing is every time you do the reverse mortgage, you have what's called FHA mortgage insurance, and it's 2.5% of your appraised value. But when you refinance your reverse, you don't have to pay that full mortgage insurance, only the difference between the first and the second time. But once October hits, you got to start all over again. So you're talking, if your house appraises at $500,000, that's a $12,000. 2.5% of $500,000 is $12,500 of closing costs that I'm not going to be able to absorb. Now, when Obama was still in there, President Obama, I would be able to absorb it. But right now with President Trump in there, I'm not able to absorb that come October because we're not going to be getting paid enough to do so. I can absorb some of it, don't get me wrong. So now's the time that before they enact that, now's the time to refinance. Why would you even think of refinance or reverse your reverse mortgage? It's not a one and done thing. You'd be crazy not to refinance your reverse mortgage because if you don't, you are 100% willfully giving the bank extra money that they don't deserve, but they're going to legally take from you. You see, in a reverse mortgage, especially here in Beverly Hills, DC is the Beverly Hills of the East Coast, and some of these parts are Rodeo Drive, okay, and as fancy as it gets. Got a place called Chevy Chase. They got a place called Chevy Chase also in LA, and it's the exact same thing. So these home values are going up, and in a reverse, when your home value goes up, it exceeds the rate that your balance is going up by if you're not making a payment. And when that happens, that means you've got more equity in your home that's available to you. But that doesn't mean you got to take it. But if you don't at least acknowledge it, the bank will take it. So you might be one of those people that says, well, I don't need any more money. And I understand that. Does the bank need more of your equity, your blood, sweat, and tears? They are physically, legally taking your equity because you do not know that if you don't acknowledge, not take, but acknowledge there's equity in there by refinancing, not taking it, just reserving it, not taking it in the form of cash, the bank will take it instead in the form of interest every single month. And we're going to hit on that when we get back. This is so important if you know somebody that's got a reverse mortgage. They need to know this because they will be cheating themselves and hand delivering their hard-earned equity and their children's legacy over to the bank when they didn't have to. 1-800-952-PRAY. 1-800-952-7729. Sit tight. Don't change that dial. We'll be back for the last segment.